Welcome to Folding Towels, a podcast for massage therapists with Jackie and David. If you are enjoying our episodes and want to support the production, consider buying us a coffee. Your contributions help us bring you more insightful discussions and expert interviews. Follow the link in the show notes or visit buymeacoffee.com/Folding Towels podcast to contribute, and thank you for your support.
Hello everybody, this is Jackie at the Folding Towels podcast, and I have a special guest for us today. I am very, very happy to be chatting with Anyeska from the Gold Coast. Hello.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I'm so excited about today. So I'm just going to tell all the folks a little bit about you and then let them know what we are talking about. So you are actually from the Gold Coast and you live there currently. And you have an RMT qualification from here in Australia. But, and this is the very exciting part, even more exciting than living on the Gold Coast.
Yeah, that's questionable some days.
Some days. The very exciting part is that you have lived and worked in Canada as a massage therapist over there. And so we are actually chatting today about some of the similarities and differences between massage therapy as an industry here in Australia versus massage therapy as an industry in Canada. And we will mention the US as well. So, yeah, I'm so excited to chat with you. Oh, you're not going to mention them?
No, I said they will get upset if we don't mention them.
Oh, okay. Yes. They will.
I find that there's that friendly rivalry where they will pick on each other a lot, but they will also defend each other to a certain amount. Not to the amount that Australia and New Zealand defend each other, but there is some love there. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. So, Anyeska, tell us a little bit about your background history before you moved to Australia. What was your reason for getting into massage therapy? Tell us things.
Okay, I'll try to do the cliff notes of this one.
Okay.
But I was a competitive dancer when I was a girl. I was actually a calisthenics girl. You're from Adelaide, so you're probably familiar with the sport of calisthenics. It's still not that great.
My sister did calisthenics and went to state several times. So yes, I know all about calisthenics, and I've banned it from my house. I know all about calisthenics.
Slightly offended. I was a national competitor as well, but anyway. But I discovered that from a young age, I had a different understanding of my body and how I could explain or relate things. And I mean from like 5-6 years old.
Oh, okay.
And then I actually injured myself when I was 8 years old. And I went to a physio, and the physio actually addressed me. Not just talked about me to my parents or asked specifically my mum, questions, but actually spoke to me. And I decided then and there at the ripe old age of 8, I wanted to be a physiotherapist.
Wow.
I know, slightly crazy.
No, that's cool though. That's like a calling, I guess.
Well, it's sort of interesting because I always knew I wanted to help people. And I know that, 90% of the population says they want to help people, and we just use different vehicles to do so. But it just made sense to me. But also I was so impressed specifically with my physio, with him addressing me as the person who happened to be injured, not addressing my parents of a child who had an injury. And they were very educational. They still actually are very, the practice still exists today. And it is one of the top physios for doing work experience and internships and that sort of thing at. But I was doing a Bachelor of Exercise Science at Griffith University here on the Gold Coast, and I really disliked it. And this sounds like it's going to contradict itself, but I know that you need to understand all of the different systems in the body to understand how it works. But the lecturers of the different subjects and the different body systems we talk so negatively about each other. Like the
Oh,
neuroscience professors and therefore all of the teaching staff were very much like, the nervous system controls everything. You don't need to understand anything else. We're the masters of the body. And
right.
I just didn't like it because it was such an unholistic approach, because I was like, everything impacts everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was something going on in my personal life. I deferred uni and I went to enroll in a Cert 3 in massage therapy, thinking it was transferable skills. And I ended up enrolling into the Diploma of Remedial Massage Therapy at not the school I intended to go to, because their doors were next to each other and I walked into the wrong doors.
Oh,
It's just a funny story in itself.
that's
But
hilarious.
I ended up studying with what's now Endeavour College of Natural Medicine. It was not called that when I went there.
Yeah.
But it had a very holistic approach. And I absolutely loved it, because even when we were talking about like one system of your anatomy, like your nervous system, there was always relation to how that would impact the circulatory system or the muscular system. Like it was very much looking at a holistic approach. So that's how I ended up being a massage therapist.
Oh,
I walked in,
interesting.
I deferred, and again, I had all of the intentions of going back after it was originally meant to be deferred from uni for 6 months. But once I started doing my diploma of remedial massage therapy, I knew I wasn't going to go back. However, that said, having done anatomy and physiology at a university level made those topics of the massage course so much easier to understand. And I naturally fell into a role of helping my fellow students understand things,
Yeah.
because I didn't actually apply for any RPL, like
Yeah.
recognition of prior learning, for the subjects, even though I was told I could,
Yeah.
because I was just like, I don't know, these different teachers are going to have different experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And on that note as well, where I studied, I had three massage therapists that had each been practicing for longer than 15 years, a husband and wife chiropractic team, and an osteopath as my lecturers teaching me massage therapy. So we had a very
Right.
rounded
Yeah.
out course versus, only learning from a massage therapist.
Okay. Yeah.
Which really, I know that's not for everyone, but I really benefited from it and I really enjoyed it.
It honestly can be good to get the different perspectives. I remember when I was in massage school, one of our lecturers who I've mentioned her many times before. She taught me lymphatic drainage massage and was fantastic. But she was actually a massage therapist and a Bowen therapist. But she did virtually no massage therapy in her clinic. She did mostly Bowen therapy. And I know some people that absolutely love Bowen therapy and would recommend it to everyone. I don't think it's necessarily for me, but I have experienced it. But it was just so great to get that differing opinion, that different life experience, and just yeah, I loved her. I thought she was just amazing. So I do 100% understand what you're saying there. That having that different outlook can just be good. Yeah.
Mhm. It can just give you a broader option. And it's not to say that you then step away from what you thought. It's just a different colored
Yeah.
lens to look at it through that you
Yeah.
can choose to take off if you don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for massage therapy as well, we often get so many different types of clients with such varied life experiences, especially when we're new and we haven't yet niched down into like the subcategories. So we might have, a 20-year-old laborer on our table one day and then a 45-year-old really stressed mum on our table. Like the experiences that people are bringing to us are just so different. So it's really good to have those different life experiences sort of told to you from your lecturers as well. Yeah.
But also from a point of view, like especially if you're talking about, there's a lot of people who don't work in health who don't know the difference between a chiropractor and an osteopath.
Yeah.
And so if you've actually got personal experience with them And we used to do this. My class for at massage school, there was probably only, I think, 14 of us. And so we would actually ask, like, if a person presented with this, we would ask both the the chiro and the osteo how their treatments would differ, like their approach, or questions that they would ask, which also allowed us to broaden our horizons greater than what just their actual curriculum.
Yeah.
And yes, it's Australian national standard curriculum at that point was of like, this is the questions you should be asking. We could then also be like, oh, but hey, from a physio or a chiro or an osteo point of view, or a Bowen point of view, or an acupuncture point of view, they would also consider this. So even if we don't understand that entire modality, it can lend us to go like, maybe you could go see someone else who will assist with this. But then also just to understand, for when a client comes to you and says, I've tried chiro, I've tried osteo, I didn't like what they did. Even if the client can't tell you exactly what they did, you can sort of have a different idea and understanding of what they have done.
Absolutely.
So I'm all for also continually trying new modalities yourself.
Yes,
Because
this is so important.
Learn. And even if you don't like something or it wasn't right for you, it may just be that you're like, you know what, that new acupuncturist that I met was really great, and maybe acupuncture, like I remember they said they have a focus on fertility. My clients mentioned that they're now just thinking about having kids. That may be a good person to assist my client, because we want what's best for the client versus just what's good for our own business and go there, bank account. Because we want the best for the client as a whole, as well as for ourselves.
I would put it out there that I think there's a lot of massage therapists that don't understand or know what osteopaths do anyway. Like that would probably be the biggest one. Most people would understand what a chiropractor does, but I think for osteopaths and even myotherapists, which is just a continuation on of our career, if we were to upgrade from remedial massage therapists here in Australia, the next step up is myotherapist. That's the next title. I would even I'd surmise that there's a lot of therapists out there that just don't understand what some of these other health practitioners do. So it's really good to get that broad experience.
Well, even then as well, what's the difference between a myotherapist and a physiotherapist?
Yeah.
And again, going back to the average person in society, in local community Facebook groups, I've seen people who don't know the difference between a chiropractor and a physiotherapist. And to us who work with, who a lot of us have worked alongside at least one of them, will understand that difference. And we forget that there's so many people don't even know that they don't know about the health industry as a whole.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You don't know what you don't know. Absolutely.
I don't know about car engines. I can tell you when my car doesn't sound normal.
Yeah.
But I definitely couldn't go into specifics. Whereas we talk to a mechanic and they'll be like, how do you not know this? Yeah. And it's the same for every industry. Yeah. And I find that in the health industry, I'm constantly reminding clients of mine that work in different areas of the health industry that people don't know, that they just don't know what they don't know. Yeah. They don't know the difference between a fungal and a like bacteria, so they don't really understand why you wouldn't give antibiotics for a fungal infection. Yeah. And so you just have to have that patience to really listen to people. And I say that as our like internet connection got a little staticky and it felt like we weren't listening to each other. Not our fault, people. But just listen to people and then have the patience to explain something to them that may be first nature to us, but is completely new to them.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have your remedial massage diploma in, this is mid-2000s, is it? A little while ago?
I actually double-checked the other day. I graduated in December 2005.
Okay, yeah, so it's very mid-2000s. And so...
That makes me feel old, and I'm not.
No, you can start a new career anytime. Anytime. If you're
Mhm.
breathing, there's still time. That's my motto.
Yeah.
um, so then tell us what happened between um, working, you've got your qualification and moving to
Mhm.
Canada. Were you working for yourself? Were you working for someone else?
I worked for myself as a mobile massage therapist here on the Gold Coast. I did do some work. I'd sort of forgotten about this. My very first role as an employee here on the Gold Coast turned out to be a questionable situation.
Oh no.
Um, and there was nothing illegal about it. It just wasn't me. It was a very last minute um, dependency on tourists, like it was in Broadbeach. So
Okay.
massive client base of focusing just on tourists, and that just did not sit well with me because there was a
Right.
lot of last minute, but then also it was legal at the time. What the setup was then would now be considered sham contracting.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
and then it just culminated with two phone calls while I was covering reception during Schoolies Week of 17 and 18-year-old boys asking for services that
Oh
would
dear.
have been illegal. Um, and I just was like, no,
You're
it's
like,
been
I'm
five
out of
weeks
here.
and I've stayed here 4 weeks too long. Five
Yeah,
weeks of
wow.
employment there. Um, and I know commitment, right? But then I did some subcontracting work actually for an osteopath, which was again another great way because he purposefully hired recent graduates of massage or students who were studying the program I had been doing at Griffith University, the Bachelor of Exercise Science,
Yeah.
um, because he knew that it was keeping them in the health industry and also giving them a slightly different perspective, which
Yeah, cool.
I'm very grateful for that. And then I did something that I always said I would never do. And I applied for a position at Spa Chakra on Hayman Island. I had previously thought that day spas and spa massage was not beneficial and it was all just fluff and
Yeah.
overpriced and you couldn't really impact or change someone's life.
Sorry, just to
And I
reiterate,
realized
you forgot about the nervous system. We literally
no,
just had this
I just
conversation
I had
before we started recording.
it's funny because in some ways it feels like yeah, I did a complete 180 on it. But because of the work experience, and while I was in high school and at university, I'd done over 300 hours of work experience with my physios. And if you've
Oh,
ever worked with a physio for injury recovery, there's normally, a treatment plan that's over 6 or 8 weeks. And so I just mentally shifted that to massage that
yeah.
if I was really going to help someone, I had to have like see them every week for 6 to 8 weeks. And in my brain, I was like, I can't actually impact someone in just one treatment. And so that's why I thought like spa, and because the spa industry in Australia is so small. And then remember, this was back in
Well, I was going to say
2007.
back then, I don't think Endota even came to South Australia where I am until about 2005, 2007. Like, and that's probably the most well-known brand when you talk about
Mhm.
spa massage in Australia. Although that is
Well,
really the low-end option.
I had never heard of Endota at that point.
Yeah.
It was only like, it was more the luxury hotels like Club Med, and things like that, like the five-star hotels that would have a day spa within them. That was my understanding of the spa industry at that time.
Well,
And
I was going to say
so I,
that was, and see, that is very much an East Coast thing. That's very touristy. That's very Sydney, Melbourne, Gold Coast, Queensland based stuff. Because we didn't have, I mean, we still don't really have a huge population here in Australia. Like, we don't have the numbers. Like, I know we're going to talk about Vegas in the USA later. They have the numbers, so they have this totally different outlook on the day spa. We rely on the tourist trade for some of that here, and it's literally only been in the last, I think, here in Adelaide, the last 12 years. I reckon it was about 10 years ago, we had, so since I've become a massage therapist, that we have had any of those places really sort of start up in Adelaide. There was 2 day spas in Adelaide before that I was aware of, two, and they were high-end ones, and they were country-based. They were not in the city or surrounding suburbs
It
of
was
the
like
city.
a place you would retreat, a wellness
It
center
was
outside of the city.
very retreat-based, yes, 100%.
So
Yeah.
when I applied for that role at Spa Chakra, I had never been to or considered a day spa here on the Gold Coast.
Yeah,
Like
right.
that just was not my understanding of they exist. They were, and it's so funny when I think about it now. But to me, those whole day spas and hotel day spas specifically were something we saw on American-based entertainment.
Yeah,
Like I didn't know that they actually existed here. And
yeah,
then my brain correlated them with going on a luxury holiday. At the time, Spa Chakra on Hayman Island was the number one spa in the Asia Pacific region, which, when you consider the advancement of day spas in Asia compared to in Australia, was quite a large feat. However, when you compare that to other areas of the world, it was actually still, in my opinion, a bit behind. But still, spas, and even to this day, like 20 years later, there's not really that many spas or whether day spas or within hotels in Australia compared to in other countries.
yeah.
And I say that even here on the Gold Coast because the Sheraton Mirage, which is the Gold Coast, sound like I'm working for Gold Coast Tourism right now. The only beachfront 5-star resort on the Gold Coast, it doesn't actually have its own spa. It used to have one that it was contracted to next door, but guests would actually have to leave the property and go outside, walk along a main road, and then go into the Golden Door spa.
Really?
However, that's now been sold. Yeah, that's now been sold and it's going to be turned, they're building another high rise there. And so one of the top resorts, one of the most luxury resorts on the Gold Coast, will no longer have a spa. But there is now more other luxury properties here on the Gold Coast that do have on-site luxury spas, but they don't often advertise to the locals
Yeah,
because they're pulling most of their clientele from their rooms.
yeah.
So
Mm.
I still feel that the spa industry in Australia, even though it's much more well known, and like you said, you mentioned Endota, I've actually never stepped foot into a single Endota. Um, they are more common,
Yeah,
but I can't really speak to my personal experiences because I just haven't had any.
yeah. I
If
think
someone wants to give me a gift certificate to one, that's fine.
I'll bear that in mind for your birthday next year. Um, I think it does depend so much on location in Australia, and I'm sure this goes for across the world as well for other countries. But because we are such a broad country, speaking purely for distance, and I know Adelaide is quite a small population compared to Sydney or the Gold Coast, we have a different sort of atmosphere towards healthcare here compared to other places, perhaps, particularly for massage. Um, and yeah, it's just really an interesting thing to compare different regions. So I want to really like go to the next thing here because we could talk about this all day, you and I. But you did go to Canada to work over there. So run us
Yes.
through, how did that come about? Like, what were you thinking? Was this like an amazing opportunity, or was it just like you wanted to work in spas elsewhere? What happened? Tell us everything.
Um, so when I was working on Hayman Island, one of my good friends, he actually worked in the laundry department, was from Canada. he was doing a gap year between uni and getting a real life, as he called it, to Australia. And so there was 8 of us who became quite good friends. And so we all said that the following Christmas would go over there to visit him. So that's actually what sparked the whole Canada trip. At that point, up until that point in my life, I'd never been interested in like going to Canada. It was never even on my like list of countries I wanted to travel to, which is sort of funny when you think about it now, like looking back. But I actually left working on Hayman Island because I got injured. And so it was a wrist injury, and long story short, when I went to Canada, I was still under a work cover. No, the work cover claim had just expired, but I had been told I'd never be able to massage again. So initially, when I went to Canada, it was a bit of a, oh, crap, I'm now going to have to figure out what I want to do with my life, because the thing that I've wanted to do in the way I wanted to do it since I was like 8 years old, I can no longer do.
Yeah.
So while I had been working on Hayman Island, I had realized I did love luxury travel because, have
Who
you seen photos of
doesn't?
Hayman Island? And exactly, who doesn't? And so I fell into working in hospitality in hotel front offices. And because that's actually what took me and did me the full circle coming back into, I actually came back into the spa industry, I'll say, more than the massage industry.
Sure.
There was a few years there. So while I've been qualified this year for 20 years, there was a few years I did not work as a massage therapist, but I still helped out friends and family, more so friends than family, on the side, and still developed that interest and studied the body in different ways.
Sure.
And one of those things, and this was something that I had learned from those physios, of just observing people when they're walking and doing things. And so I'm that person who just always observes people. Like if you're walking in front of me in the supermarket, I can tell you what's wrong with your hips or your feet and what we could do to fix it, because it was so ingrained in me. And this partnered with always being able to read people's energy and their body energy, made me really good at working in hotel front offices, because I could easily pick the problem guests as they opened the doors to walk in. I could always diffuse the situation that way. And so the reason I'm mentioning this is because those skills of being able to see what's going on without words being spoken is what massage therapists really do. There's a lot of things that we pick up on that clients aren't actively telling us. And half the time that's because they don't know how to express it. They don't have the vocabulary to explain what they're feeling very well. It's sort of like when you ask someone, where is your back sore? And they're like, it hurts. You're like, yeah, but where? And they're like, yeah, my back. And you're like, the lower part, the upper part, closer to your spine, out towards the side. And then what kind of pain? And they're like, well, it hurts. It's sore. Like, is it a dull stabbing pain, sharp? Is it tingling? Is it constant, or does it come and go? But being able to read that information from people in a different setting actually made me want to go back into the spa industry in a weird twist.
Right.
And so it was actually me working in a leadership position in a 5-star properties front office department. And I had a day where a guest just annoyed me, and I was training staff, and the other staff were bored and just annoying me. Everyone was basically annoying me.
You're having a moment.
I was having a lovely day that day.
Yeah.
And I remember speaking to one of my roommates who was a housekeeper supervisor at this property. And I remember just saying to him, I want Jane's job. And Jane was the assistant spa manager at the time. And he laughed, and within 2 weeks she had actually resigned, and I got her position.
Oh my God.
And so yes, I can create magic quite quickly. But it was just interesting of how it came so easily to be back in the spa industry. And within that role, and because a lot of people, and this is something I find fascinating about one of the differences in different businesses, is that at that property, if you wanted to be the assistant spa manager or the spa manager, you had to have qualifications of being a massage therapist or a beauty therapist, or they wouldn't even consider your application.
Yeah, right.
It was one of the minimum requirements. And so that was also an interesting thing, because at that property as well, for any beauty therapist or massage therapist to apply, they had to have 1,000 hours of education. And I actually honestly had no idea how many hours of education I had. And at that point, I also didn't have copies of my transcripts from Australia.
Oh.
So I had to then contact the schools that I had graduated from more than a decade prior to get copies couriered internationally, which was a whole nother situation to deal with. But having those standards actually really benefit us as a business in the long term, because the leadership team, the people in charge of the business, actually knew what it was like to be a worker in that business.
Right.
Whereas here, I find that there's quite a lot of spas or beauty clinics that have a lot of massage offerings, where the manager or the director, the owner, has no background being one of those frontline, I don't like the term frontline workers, but being actually on the tools, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so it's a very different understanding of being able to help support your staff, and also being able to know when a client is being absolutely ridiculous, or if it's something that would be doable.
Yeah. I would say that there is a lot of massage businesses that are potentially run that way. Not all of them, obviously, but especially for places like Endota, who are sometimes franchise, or the owner has come from a corporate background and bought the business and then hired staff. And so, as you said, like, they don't have a healthcare or a massage therapy background, but they're running the business. And yeah, it can make things a little bit difficult. We've certainly had a lot of conversations, not only on the podcast, but in real life with yourself and other people on Facebook groups and what have you, about the nature of employee versus contractor, all of those things, pay rates, take-home pay, superannuation, everything. Like, it's just such a colossal minefield in Australia at the moment. Like, it is really big conversation. So, yeah, it's very interesting when you look at that. I do want to delve into perhaps some of the ins and outs of the way that Canada itself as a country sets up their massage therapy qualifications and whatnot, because they do it differently here, differently to us here in Australia. And I know a lot of massage therapists in Australia would not really probably have any idea how Canada's setup is, but if you said, oh, what do they do in the US, they'll go, oh, well, that's a licensed massage therapist. They have, their term is licensed massage therapist, and you actually have to go, I think in most, if not all the states, and like pass an exam to actually be qualified to work in your state. Is that right?
So my understanding in America is not as good as my understanding in Canada.
Sure.
I worked in America.
Yeah.
So to any American listeners, or I apologize if I get it wrong, and to anyone else who's looking to work in America, don't take what I say as gospel.
Oh, absolutely.
Disclaimer.
Yeah. Disclaimer.
So my understanding in America is most of the states, not all, but most, have LMT, so licensed massage therapist. So you study, and then yes, you go sit a board exam, which you do have to resit. I don't know how frequently. Or their continued education is done differently, and their continued education, similar to our associations here, each one's different state to state.
Yeah.
However, what is included in their courses is similar but a bit more in depth. And I'm just going off the select few. There's, thousands of massage therapists in America. From the ones I've spoken to, it is a little bit more in depth and it's a longer course than what is now the Remedial Massage Therapist diploma in Australia.
Yeah.
Because most, and this may be wrong because it's changed since I studied, but most diploma of remedial massage therapy in Australia is only 12 months long. It was longer when I studied.
Ish.
So in America, it's generally like a 2-year course versus the 1-year course. But I don't know the specifics of how many contact hours, how many clinic hours or practical hours they have to sign off on. In Canada, there is no national qualification. It's all done provincially.
Okay.
So if you, similar to how if you were a doctor trained in, say, Japan and you were coming here, you would have to submit all of your paperwork. But then once you've got that, you can practice as a doctor in any state, or like me as a massage therapist, I can practice in any state or territory in Australia. In Canada, you cannot. You can do all of your qualifications in Ontario. And if you live near the border with Quebec and you go and apply for a job in Quebec, you have to go and sit their course or apply for your qualifications to be recognized there.
Yeah.
Quebec's actually one of the most lenient and understanding of all the provinces. And quite similar to Australian standards of the education.
Yeah.
I did the majority of my work in the spa industry and as a massage therapist in British Columbia. And the next province over from it is Alberta. And there was a whole bunch of skiing fields all up and down the Okanagan Valley there that, similar to the Gold Coast and Tweed, that they straddle the border and you need the two different qualifications or registrations.
Oh, okay.
Those two. So there's a lot of pressure then on businesses to help support, because the last time I checked, which granted this is old information, as in 2019, 2020, it's meant to be on the websites and everything. They say it would cost about $600 in 6 weeks to have your credentials assessed and approved, and for you to do, there was an exam that you had to do, but it was taking about 6 months, which is obviously a long time when you're planning to move. And if you've applied for a position in the place you're planning to move, or as the employer, you've got someone, but you can't have them working in that capacity. And so it's an interesting thing, though, because that's where it really comes down to the difference of working as a body worker versus as a massage therapist. Because in Canada, RMT actually stands for Registered Massage Therapist, which means that you're registered to provide health rebates.
I was going to say, I've heard from a couple of other people that are either Canadian and work here now or have been to work in Canada, that massage therapy, if you are, like you said, licensed or registered to work where you live or whatever, it is looked on as more of a healthcare thing, right? Like we have a very big gap here in Australia. Like we are we're title is, I guess, complementary therapy. We are not allied health. Allied health is a completely different subset, that we are as massage therapists not a part of. We can still claim, our clients can claim health rebates through their private health insurance, but it's different. But definitely in Canada, I've heard that rumor that they do look on as massage therapy. It is much more healthcare rather than I'm just going for a massage and I do get $10 back from my provider sort of thing. So tell us all about that.
I can't speak too much of it because the spa I was managing was in a remote place.
Okay.
I didn't have to deal with a lot of that. We were removed because we were a destination location, and it was hard for us to get staff, so we wouldn't have our staff have to register. So we just had, and so that we didn't run into the issue of guests complaining that they couldn't get a health insurance rebate, our company just strictly did no receipts for health insurance purposes.
Right. Okay.
Just
So
as a
is there a culture in Canada of like we have here, anyone can actually call themselves a massage therapist? You can't use that registered title, but you can, like,
technically speaking, yes.
yeah.
It's the same, like, someone who's done a dry needling course could try and say, well, I use needles, I do acupuncture, but like
I
you're
don't
going
know
to get
about
that in
that.
every industry. um,
I don't know
I've
about
heard
that.
someone say who says they're basically the same thing, and I'm like, well, I don't think they are
They're
personally,
not
but
even close.
another topic. So technically speaking, when most people think of massage therapy, they will then immediately ask, oh, are you registered?
Yeah.
But they're coming at it mentally, and this is what I find the big difference is the Canadians that ask that, they're mentally asking for health insurance purposes, whereas here, remedial massage therapy is just a modality of the greater umbrella of massage therapy. I fall into that category of being a remedially trained massage therapist, but I do not have private health provider numbers based on me living overseas for so long.
Yeah.
Medibank Private made the decision, and then unfortunately, every other health insurance basically will follow what Medibank does of not counting my time and continued education in Canada.
Sure.
And so they deem that I don't meet their qualifications, whereas everything that I do, I like all of my qualifications do actually meet their standards.
Yeah.
And this is a slight tangent, but 2 years ago, I actually contacted 4 different massage schools here in Southeast Queensland to inquire, to be like, maybe I should do it. But the
So
course is,
redo your diploma.
yeah,
Yeah.
the course is shorter. It is about triple the price what I paid for it, even though they were all on end of financial year specials. And when speaking with their admissions, we discovered that I actually had more qualifications and experience than what their current teachers did
Yeah.
at 2
Wow.
of the schools. And so it didn't make sense for me personally. And I'm not saying that for everyone, but for those people who are looking at going to another country, that the health insurance rebate doesn't, if you don't qualify to get a provider number, it doesn't mean you're not good at your job and you can't still help people.
Oh,
It just means
absolutely.
that you are operating slightly differently.
Yeah.
And that's where educating your clients about what you do and how it is still beneficial, even though you don't have the provider number and they're not getting the $50 rebate back, you're still impacting their health positively.
Oh, look, if anyone's getting $50 back from their massage, then please let me know who it is, because I think a lot of the time it's 10, 12,
30 to 40,
$20. Yeah, like depending on the fund. Yeah. Yeah. No, you are exactly right though, because there's a lot of people that may not have Medibank or HCF status. But they're still working and have lots of clients and doing really well. I know there's a few others as well that I've heard that are sometimes a bit iffy, but I can't remember who it is.
There's I know that you and I are both in some of the same massage therapy Facebook groups.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's fascinating to me when people who are looking to immigrate to Australia and are asking these questions, that a lot of the time they'll get shut down with oh no, you'll have to redo your entire course.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time that's coming from people who don't personally have the experience, because it's easy to tell someone that they should invest another 12 months to 2 years of their life and now $20,000 to do their diploma. Yes, that was prices I was quoted 2 years ago. It's easy to tell someone else to invest that much time and money when they already have those qualifications, plus potentially you have no idea how many years of experience they have. And it would be a disservice to the massage industry and the health and well-being industry as a whole to just put blinders on and tell them that they are not experienced or talented or educated based off your own personal limited experience. And I say that with all the love in the world because we don't know what we don't know. I wouldn't have
Mm.
known these things if I hadn't gone and lived somewhere else and then came back and was like, okay. And I, in all of my nativity, was like, oh, well, it will be easy because I got my original qualifications in Australia. I'll just be able to do it all online, credit card at the ready. And then I'm like, hit these roadblocks of like, no, you don't qualify. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
why
That's not
not?
how it works anymore.
Hmm. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so it was just really interesting, just going back to Canada and with it being province to province of us having these issues, or you see people saying they're experiencing these challenges when they're trying to
Mm.
bring a qualification from another country. And then being like, oh, can you imagine doing that when you just move 200 kilometers away from your hometown and having to
Yeah.
do all of that? That's a little bit insane to me.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Mhm.
So tell us some stories about your time working, because you mostly worked in high-end spas while you're in Canada,
Yes.
yes?
I like
Tell us
luxury,
some
so I worked in
tell us
luxury.
some stories. Oh my
Um,
goodness.
I will briefly mention first of all, and this is probably the one that gets the most laughs and the most, what the, that actually happened.
Yeah.
Um, you mentioned it on one of your other podcast episodes because I had told you about it of we had hurricane lamps. So they were
Yeah.
kerosene lamps in a lovely little, I'm doing a motion with my hands, which you listeners cannot see. This really stylish glass vase in our rooms, in every one of our treatment rooms,
Yeah.
spa in Canada. And because we're a luxury spa, guests would arrive, we'd take them through to the change rooms. We had a steam cave that they could sit in and relax in as well. But we'd give them all spa robes. So they would get changed. So when they went into their treatment room, they only had to take off a spa robe. So it's generally a quicker change in the room, not them having to pull off 5 layers of clothing and figure out how to fold them all and hide their underwear away.
Yeah.
So this couple, and they were American. I don't know why I have to say that, but it was just one of those situations where we were like, oh, of course you're American that did this.
It's a bit of a vibe at the moment, isn't it? Unfortunately.
Somehow, somehow he took his robe off. It was a couple's treatment, so him and his wife in the same room. He somehow took his robe off, threw it at the hook on the wall, and we still have no idea because we've like held the robe up and measured to see how he managed to
Yeah.
take the robe around the flame and set the robe on fire. And it literally, when we walked in after their treatments, obviously the building did not burn down. My therapist walked into seeing this robe on fire and went into fireman action.
Yeah.
But when I went in and inspected it later, it was a cedar building, and there's the cedar panels, and then there's a piece of paper before the outside cedar, and there was smoke marks on the cedar paper. So if that paper had caught on fire, the whole
Oh.
building would have been up in flames in like
Wow.
it was very close to a massive disaster. And
Yeah.
we did swap to battery operated LED lights after that. There was still the same hurricane lamps up in every single guest room of the property. But that was an interesting experience. But the thing that struck me was I happened to be working on reception, checking him out, and he checked out while wearing his shirt inside out and back to front. So clearly he was relaxed and not paying any attention. But he also laughed and he introduced himself to me, being like, "You'll always remember who I was because I'm the one who almost set the building on fire." Ha ha ha. And literally laughed about it. And
Oh
it
my
was one of those
gosh.
days where I was stressed, payroll was due, everything was going on. And I was like, in my face was like, "Oh, yes, sir." But inside, I was very much like, this is not a funny situation, sir. It may be funny after a few shots of tequila in my body, but right now it is not entertaining to me.
This is
Um,
absolutely why most people should not have open flame candles anywhere. Like, it's just potentially a huge recipe for disaster.
well, the ironic thing is, we had very in-depth fire training there. I mean, we literally did a fire drill every month because, as I mentioned, we're a remote location.
Yeah.
Our fire chiefs in town were salaried position, but every other firefighter was volunteer. And we knew that from the moment we called 911, because that is the emergency line in Canada, to the fire trucks coming to our property, it would on average be 14 to 20 minutes.
Okay.
That's a long time.
That's a
So
fair time, yeah.
every single month, every single employee did in-depth fire training of an actual drill being pulled. The chief engineer of the company would actually hide a fire somewhere, or like we had these little bears that had little sweaters with the like company logo on them. And like he would kill one or have it
Oh no.
like he would have it in a waste paper bin, being like this with a sign that said, "This bin is on fire, get me out of here."
Oh.
And so we would literally, when I say we'd do a fire drill, we
God.
wouldn't just talk through it. We would actually have all of the staff patrol and clear all the buildings
Yeah,
like we would
right.
normally when waiting for the fire
Yeah,
department.
wow.
So we were also in a location that would frequently have power outages.
Yeah.
We were in a rainforest with above ground power lines. So if there was a car accident or if there was just a wild storm, we would have power outages. So having candles and actual open flames was just necessary for every business and every
Yeah.
property, like
Yeah.
property in that place.
Yeah.
So we're fine with it, but apparently that American tourist was not fine with it.
Do you have any other stories to tell us? Like, what was it like? Was it a really good job? Did you love it? I mean, you told me earlier that you actually went back between 2008 when you initially went there, like you went back 3 times over like nearly a decade and a half.
That wasn't to the same company or the same
Yeah.
town even. I
Yeah.
was only in that I worked with that business for 4 years. The last 4 years I was in Canada. Other than that, I've lived in 3 different provinces in Canada.
Okay.
So I relocated back to Australia in 2020. Nothing to do with COVID, but just how things happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2021, I did some contract work, which, again, also in hindsight, I'm like, this was really shammy contracts because they determined our pay rate and our hours worked, not me. And they told me what colors I had to wear, and they tried to get me to buy from their on-site store versus me wearing what I wanted to wear. But little Anyeska was like, I don't know the spa industry laws in Australia currently, so I'm just going to go with the flow.
Yeah.
But there was so many instances of when I spoke to other staff members there, and some of them, whether they were the beauty therapists or massage therapists, had been working there or at least subcontracting there for several years on a part-time basis, that they just had no idea that it could be any other way because they didn't work for anyone else. They didn't have friends who worked anywhere else. They didn't know, like, a lot of the time they worked there part-time and somewhere else part-time that was in a similar, slightly to very dodgily set up. And so people just don't know. And unless we talk about these things, we don't really realize how screwed up they really are.
You don't know what you don't know.
And it was like what we were saying earlier, just before we actually started recording, about how someone commented or asked, is this split good? Like, they're not going to pay me super. This is the percentages, laundry, reception, blah, blah, blah. And reading through the comments, you and I realized that both of us had the same thing. People were like, oh, that sounds really good. I would do that. Whereas we're looking at it being like, that's actually illegal. And that's not as good. But until people start asking these questions and more people join the conversation, we just don't know. And as an industry, we're holding ourselves back if we're not sharing.
Yes. We did mention that you did take a little trip to Vegas and you went to a spa there. Tell us what that was like, because I'm interested to hear this.
So I was actually in Vegas for the International Spa Association's conference. So my company sent me.
Okay.
And this spa is the Canyon Ranch Spa, which I believe there's 3 different locations in America. I could be wrong, so please don't come for me with pitchforks. But this one is the largest one. It's in the Palazzo Venetian. So it's actually under the Venetian. Oh, sorry, not the Venetian. now I'm confusing which is the host hotel of the conference. Anyway, it was in the host hotel of the conference. So I went there. I had a full body scrub and then a soak in the tub and then a massage treatment. So it's a body treatment versus just a massage.
Sure.
But this is when we say spas there, it was a very interesting experience because you arrived and it was like the check-in counter, like reception desk was like a hotel check-in counter.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, like, the spa must be bigger. I knew nothing about the spa going in there. I just knew that it was a luxury one and that the conference said definitely book yourself in. And we got a discount with going to the conference.
Sure.
But it was very robotic and mechanical and clinical of a check-in process, including asking for a gratuity before you've received the treatment.
Oh.
Which, as an Australian, I was really like, a gratuity says, thank you for the wonderful service you offer. I don't know if you've offered me wonderful service yet.
Yeah.
So when I'm in America, I understand the tipping culture. I don't necessarily agree with it, but we'll leave that part to the side.
Yeah.
I was then escorted through, and you do have to be escorted through because it is like a rabbit's warren. Or escorted through to the ladies' lounge, and I kid you not, there would have been 150 lockers in there.
Okay.
And they were all keypad versus an actual key, just because there's so many. They're like, we go through too many keys, like we lose them all the time. Within the ladies' lounge there was a hot tub. And then there was also off to the side these rain showers. So there was a series of 4 different rain showers, and the temperature of the water, the pressure of the water, and the patterning of how it fell was different for each of them. So one was to mimic a thunderstorm, one was to mimic more like light drizzling rain, and the lights in each of these little alcoves was also partnered to it. So it was a very interesting experience. And then one was more like a cool shower versus like a hot steamy shower.
Yeah.
There was a dry sauna, and then there was the crystal steam cave. And so it was a steam room, and then it had all of these Swarovski crystals hanging from the ceiling. So it was a very interesting experience because I am a crystals person. So looking at what types of crystals they were and the energies that they were meant to help promote.
Yeah.
Then you would come into the actual waiting area of the spa to go to your treatment rooms, and there was a little cafe. You could have juices and everything. They were all like half cup sizes, and some of them were pre-made. There was different lounge chairs of different shapes and sizes and textures and materials. So you could lie like on a wooden deck chair versus like a comfy, really soft one.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a salt room, which was the first time I'd ever been in a full Himalayan rock salt room. Like all of the walls
interesting.
and the chairs, like they were designed like the beach lounges, but it was all just salt.
Yeah.
So you're absorbing all of that salt. So it was all very interesting because I'd never been in one of those before.
Yeah.
And then obviously did the treatment. They did do a hard sale of the retail, which I'm all for selling retail or suggesting products that are suitable for your client. And that's whether it's a more clinical RMT setting and a spa setting.
Yeah.
But either way, it can have a sales sleazy pitch or a good ease sales pitch. It was not the great sales pitch. But I learned when I was talking to the therapist that I was in one of 84 treatment rooms, and that's not including the beauty rooms and nail rooms.
Yeah, wow.
So 84 treatment rooms just for massage and body work. And I was just like, this is so massive. And after your treatment, they do have to escort you all the way back because off that waiting room where the salt room was, I went through at least 4 different corridors to get to my treatment room. I had no idea how to get there again or get out.
Yeah, wow.
It was insane, the size of it. But I do have to mention the tub that I soaked in the middle of that treatment, it was one gigantic piece of copper. And it was long enough that I could sit with my legs outstretched. I actually could lie down in it. I'm not overly tall though. And when I was sitting in it, the sides came up higher than my eye line. And it was one piece of copper. and they put some Epsom salts in it, and salt and copper actually amplify each other to detox and pull impurities out of your skin. And then they sprinkled red rose petals, which were fresh, in the water as well. I would go back to that spa just for that tub. I want that tub in my that. Honestly, the product they used for the exfoliation and the massage itself, she didn't want to be there. She was a beauty therapist. She was having to do a body treatment. I could tell, and she told me. But
that's pretty common.
That tub was amazing.
However, that sounds nice.
The whole experience was, and this was in 2019, it was $299, which is not overly expensive. However, the quality of the treatment, I said it to you before we actually recorded this, that if I had paid that out of my pocket, I probably would have been disappointed.
Yeah.
I didn't find that the value matched the price, which is something that I know comes up a lot as well, because price points of the massage industry, whether you're more clinical or more luxury relaxation based, that is such a sticky point in this industry, in this country.
Well, this is so I often tell people, if Endota can charge $70 for a 30-minute massage, I think you are probably well worth whatever you're paying. And because you just mentioned a lot of beauty therapists go to work at day spas, and because they do a little bit of massage training, it is a little bit, it's certainly not a year's worth, but they do go in to work and often have to do a full body massage. And sometimes they have to do 5 or 6 in a day, when really they're beauty therapists. They're not trained to do that much massage. So there is a lot of burnout in Australia in that industry. And I do apologise for continually bringing up Endota. I don't mean to harp on about Endota. I just don't know any other business names. That's purely the reason that I've said Endota.
It's a good reference and anchoring point. I find it's a good reference and anchoring point, because it does have the reputation in Australia of being a good day spa. And as I said, I can't speak to it personally because I've never been.
I've had massages with them, and they're pretty good. Obviously it depends on the therapist, but the experience is quite nice. As you said, if somebody bought me a gift voucher, I would go. So,
the other thing is that I know back when I was studying massage, and yes, it's 20 years ago now. So Endeavour used to be the Australian College of Natural Medicine, and then it had a sister school, the Australian Beauty College. And they were literally on the same campus, and then they merged into one, and then it evolved and became Endeavour, and its goals and ideals changed. But back then, the Diploma of Beauty Therapy, because again, people forget that in beauty, there's also like a Cert 3, a Cert 4, and then the diploma. The diploma had a Swedish massage for a full semester. So for 6 months, they actually did study Swedish massage. And it was Swedish massage. It wasn't any other modalities or techniques. But they did it for 6 months. And then when I consider now that there are particular RTOs, and I can think of one in Brisbane, that do a weekend course and sell it as a full body relaxation massage. And the depth of knowledge that I'm like, some beauty therapists actually enjoy massage as well because they like it as a break from just doing facials.
Sure.
But others don't. Yeah. But then on the other end of the spectrum, and this is another whole kettle of fish we won't talk about today because otherwise we'll be here for hours. That difference that someone who doesn't have a health fund provider number that did a weekend course versus someone like myself who actually has worked in the industry, continued education, worked with a variety of people in a variety of countries, 2 countries, but then did different trainings in that as well. Because I'm still fascinated by the human body. I still study a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's very different. And I don't have a provider number. That's still 2 very different people. And so we can't just say as a blanket statement, if you don't have a provider number, you're bad. If you're a beauty therapist, you're bad. If you have a diploma of RMT, you're good. Because
absolutely.
I personally have also been to someone who had a diploma of RMT and it was not enjoyable. I can't say it was good. And I know that that's not tied to the qualification. That's just tied to that particular person. And maybe they were just having a really shitty day, or maybe they didn't like me and they just decided they weren't going to care about me. Who knows? Maybe,
That was definitely it. 100%.
Maybe they had a fight with their boyfriend that morning and they just took it out of me. Like they were stuck in their head being like, him being stupid. And my call back was the one that got that. But,
well, that's so true. It's such a personal industry. Like, it's very intimate in a lot of ways. And it is, like one person in a small space dealing with another person. So there's a lot of stuff that does sometimes come up that comes out that you otherwise might not, like, you're not necessarily telling people stuff about yourself, but it comes out in some ways. Maybe you're too chatty, or you're just feeling really sad, or, like I've had plenty of days where I'm just not given the best of myself. And I've gone home and I've said that to my husband. I was like, oh my God, like I sucked today. Like it was just awful. And I'm just, like I feel guilty sometimes. Like I really wish that things could have been better for my clients today, but it's just the nature of being a human being as well. Like every now and then you're going to have a shitty day. What can you do?
But the other thing is, from a therapist point of view, you may think you've done a really shitty job, but the client may not necessarily know that or agree with you. I remember, the spa in Canada, I had one of my therapists walk out after a treatment and he sneezed 3 times. And he's like, oh my God, I've been holding that in for like 80 of those 90 minutes.
Oh.
And he was, because he's a loud sneezer, and so he knew it would be disruptive.
Yeah.
And he just had it stuck in his head, I can't make a single sound. Otherwise, it's going to upset this guest. And for no reason other than he told himself this story. And so he goes like out into the back area, office area, and he's like, sneezes like 7 times. And then he's like, oh my God, Anyeska, they're going to complain when they're checking out. Can you be on reception? Because like we need it to go smoothly. Like, because also remember in Canada, they do accept gratuities. So the staff get paid by me, and then they would also get the gratuities from the guests.
Sure.
And so he was stressing that that this client would hate him. And she comes out. Oh, and that's right, because in the verbal consultation at the beginning, she had said she does get massages like every fortnight. So he's thinking, comparing himself immediately to these others. He walks out and she's like, oh my God, that was the best massage I've ever had in my life. Like leaves him like a $80 gratuity, like knowing he's getting paid anyway. And then was like, can you rearrange like my appointment like in 2 days time? Can I have him again? Like, and she was blown away and just loved him. And it may have been me, just made him sweat for an extra 3 minutes before I told him. Just been like, dude, that client, what she said, to then be able to tell him, like, it was actually really great. She loved it. She had no idea you were fighting the inner demons of your respiratory system, trying to expel something from your body. Yeah. She's just like, this is amazing. You probably would have been able to sneeze and she wouldn't have known. But it's so funny how we will be often the first ones to beat ourselves up and say that was 100%. A horrible treatment we just provided. And they're just like, this was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I forgot to ask you at the beginning of our little chat today, our usual question that we ask for guests, which is, who is your favorite superhero and why? It's the most important question of the day.
It is. I've been waiting for it for the last hour, Jackie. I honestly, every time I listen to one of your podcast episodes and this question gets asked, I always answer it in my head.
Yeah.
Sometimes out loud while I'm in public as well. Who cares what? I can be the crazy person to other people. My favorite superhuman hero is a human, and it is me. Because all of us have our own superpowers, and why would I favorite someone else over the excellence that is me? And
that's such a you answer.
One of my superpowers actually is reminding people of how awesome they are.
Yeah.
And so if anyone ever needs a pep talk, and you may have seen it again in the massage therapist Facebook groups that we're both a part of. When people question themselves, I will often, even though I don't know them, I will cheer them on and remind them how
Yeah.
fantastic they are. And those messages in a public setting will also always say, send me a DM anytime you're feeling low,
Yeah.
because it is legitimately one of my superpowers. And I actually absolutely love that about myself, that I can recognize and see the brilliance of people and
Yeah.
celebrate it. Like,
Yeah.
and also I don't watch like I don't even know what to call
You're
them.
not a
I
Marvel
don't know.
fan?
No.
Okay,
Um,
so you don't really watch a lot of movies or TV, is that what you're saying? Or you don't watch Marvel or DC movies?
if I am going to watch something currently, I'm rewatching The Nanny.
Oh, okay.
I don't watch a lot
Fair.
of TV or movies, but I've also just like, I don't know, I've never connected with the superhero
Yeah.
things. Like,
That's fair.
you know, that's just me. I'm not
Yeah.
ashamed of it because I'm powerful. But it's funny because every time I know David has all of his superhero t-shirts and
He
stuff because I listen
does.
to your podcast. Sounds like I'm low-key stalking him. Sorry, David.
You are.
But I I can appreciate that it's something that brings a lot of people together.
Yeah.
But I also just, again, I want to remind people that they don't need to be like look for that inspiration
Yeah.
or outside of themselves. They're
Yeah.
awesome as they are.
Oh, that is a good reminder. I do appreciate that because I think in our industry, a lot of us, not everybody, but a lot of us work alone, and the imposter syndrome, the doubt can really creep in very easily because we work so isolated in many ways. And we're often looking after everybody else, and so then we can feel neglected and we can feel really like, oh god, am I doing enough? Because we not necessarily see our clients at their worst, but a lot of us will give our clients that, okay, you can kind of unload on me, because we go in and go, how are you? Have you been since last week? How is your day? Are things going okay with your parents, your kids, or what have you? And we often really give our clients that ability to unload their mental or emotional burdens. And so we end up sometimes, hopefully not very much, but sometimes carrying them and really supporting our clients. And yeah, and that factored in with the loneliness that comes with working by yourself. Like it can just really, and I'm basically speaking about myself here.
Well, I think we're called massage therapists, but a lot of people really highlight the therapy aspect of that title.
Yeah. It does
We
depend on what you do. Obviously, not everyone will feel this way. And if you work in a multimodality clinic, like you might have, 5 to 10, even more other therapists of different, specialties sort of working with you. You've always got someone to chat with, someone to unburden your own issues with and your issues of your clients and whatnot. So it very much depends. But I know there's a huge subset of us that work very much alone, either at home or just in a little room rental. We may only see our clients from week to week. So, yeah, it's just the nature of that industry.
The other thing I think of as well is when working in a multidisciplinary setting, that a lot of people end up falling into a competitive mindset,
Sometimes,
or
yeah.
the fact if all those other modalities are considered allied health and massage is not, there becomes this sort of unspoken hierarchy of importance or value. And
Yeah.
so that breeds a lot of that competition and imposter syndrome, which again, everyone's got all of their own different education and experience and brilliance to bring to it that may not necessarily be just those tactical hands-on skills that we're taught in school, like
Yeah.
actually being able to listen to, especially like when you're looking at the um, elderly clients that they just often need someone to chat with them for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And that is going to do a lot for their healing, whether they see you or one of the other modality practitioners.
Yeah.
And so that competition can be self-inflicted a lot of the time. And then, as you said, if we are self-employed, we can look at competition of like a new business pops up in our local Facebook community group. And instead of being like, oh, yay, someone that else that loves this industry as much as I do, a lot of people will jump to, oh my God, they're going to take some of my pie away, which is a little bit sad in my opinion. But
I would hope that people are starting to shift out of that mindset, because like if you just do the math, which math is not my favorite topic at all. I generally steer away from that if I can. But even if you just do the math, if you can only see, pick a number, 20 or 30 clients a week, and people are coming to see you anywhere between every third, fourth, fifth, 6 weeks, whatever it is, you can only see X number of clients per year, even if they are coming very regularly or even irregularly. There's only a limited amount of clients that you can see. So once you're full, what are you going to keep doing? You have to turn people away at some point or keep them on the wait list. So there's that whole idea of there's plenty of work for everybody out there. And even the only stipulation that I would say on this is if you are super remote, you might be having some issues with filling your books. But if you live in an actual capital city in Australia, I really don't see how you can have that mindset of, oh, hang on, I better never refer my clients out to anyone else because I'll never see them again. Like, it just doesn't happen.
No. I wouldn't say not even just the capital cities, every major city in Australia.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Even like when I think of up in Airlie Beach, Cannon Vale, that for the amount of people that live there, and then add in the people who live on the islands working, and then they come to the mainland and want to book a massage, there's not enough massage therapists for that amount, even not taking into consideration all of the tourists that go to that region.
Yeah.
And it's just silly in my opinion. The massage therapist I would see there, she had not advertised in 20 years.
Yeah, wow.
And she was always booked out in advance. You only ever heard about her if you knew one of her clients.
Yeah.
And once you were on her client list, you knew what her availability was like. So you kept it secret, but she would tell other people. She just would also be like, well, you won't, good luck getting in.
Yeah. I've heard that from other massage therapists that work regionally that are not in the capital cities, but out sort of in the smaller towns and whatnot, that there is such a need, a desire for people just want to look after themselves now, that a lot of the times they're not even having to advertise very much at all. Like, they're getting their clients through word of mouth and they are getting booked out, which is absolutely amazing. I think it's fantastic. I could not be happier.
I agree. And I think because you mentioned before that massage is considered a complementary therapy versus allied health, that more people are becoming unhappy in the cities and moving regionally, whether it's because of like government overreach or whatever
the reason,
lifestyle in the cities is not aligning with them anymore. But they are then picking and choosing what they do like. And you know what? I think most people, almost every single person I know, if they had the option to have a massage every 1 to 2 weeks, they would definitely do that. But a lot of the time it comes down to their schedule availability and the schedule availability of the massage therapist.
Yeah.
And just on that note, if you don't want to work evenings, don't, because another massage therapist will.
Yeah.
I have done 7 a.m. appointments in the past because I'm a morning person, but that also means that I'm finished by 3 and I still have time to enjoy daylight hours.
Yeah.
And if someone approached me and they wanted like a 6 p.m. massage, I have a collection of people I trust.
Yeah.
And so it was mutually beneficial.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it really is a rising tide lifts all ships. And we say that we want the industry to elevate, and that means we have to actually live and embody that every day as massage therapists.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And again, just be your greatest self because you're your own superhero.
Yes, I love it. Thank you so much, Anyeska. Did I get that right?
You did.
Anyeska. I'm
I
going to
would
be
give you a
walking
gold
around.
sticker if we lived in the same state.
Okay, I'm going to be walking around my house saying that for the rest of the day. My husband's going to come home and go, "What are you mumbling?"
I've had people make it into a song and a dance before, but
yeah, I can see it. I can totally see it. Thank you so much for chatting with me today. It has been fun. We've talked about a lot of things. And thank you everybody for listening. Thank you for joining us. We are going to be back again next week. We're on the socials. You can message us anytime on Instagram, Facebook. And David is so much better at this than I am. I suck at doing the outro. Sorry, everybody.
that is not true, Jackie. You are just distracted because we've laughed much more than David does. Love you, David. I've never met you, but I really wanted to thank you for having me on. I have enjoyed our chat. We did go to some places I was not expecting, and I love that my brain is still processing that situation of those fisherman pants and being like, so inappropriate. I'm laughing because I'm just like, how did I not realize how inappropriate that was? Because it was just 20-year-old Anyeska accepting that was fine.
Yeah. You don't know what you don't know. It happens.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We've had a ball today, and I guess we'll see you next week again. Thanks. Bye.
I just want to quickly remind people that if they loved the episode, to buy Jackie and David a coffee.
Thank you. That is really sweet.
You?
Thank you. Yeah. You can buy us a coffee. The link is usually in the show notes for everything, for Facebook, Instagram, all the places. So just check the show notes in whatever app you're using to listen to this. And we'll catch you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.